We at Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus, we're like the Washington Redskins. We are in hunt of the Seahawks. This is a tough bird. We know it's a lot of things we need to do to catch this bird, just as the Redskins. First of all, we must protect our territory. All do that at all costs. But next and foremost, you can't make mistakes. Keep your eye on the target, because last but not least, it's only one shot. One shot to Seahawk is tough. Hark, I see one.
Now, it's the big yellow taste of Kellogg's Corn Pops, as portrayed by a music video.
Yeah. Pop sweet glaze goes bling like my ring. That sweet puffed crunch is tight like my limousine. So yellow and delicious. Are you feeling ambitious for a taste that's so large? The cereal superstar.
It's a pop stang, sweet crunchy blang blang.
The cereal is the dealio.
Big yellow taste, sweet puffed crunch, part of this complete breakfast. Gotta have my Pops.
People who visit Geico.com could save hundreds on car insurance, yeah? Big news, yeah? But not if no one hears it, which is why I need you to help spread the word. Otherwise, our big news is nothing but a stray little fact. A wee orphan of truth wandering the streets looking for a home in someone's ear. Oh, that was easy.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Offensive Player of the Week is sponsored by BB&T. You can tell we want your business.
"16 carries, 53 yards, offensive player of the game. No wonder, 120 yards total. We got the man on set that should be out there, that I think can still be out there, and should be number 2 at least in the picks. He said every time he leaves, the picks go bad. We talking about number 84, but number 1 in your heart.
Bring back the charm.
Number 1 in your heart, Gary Clyde. G-Man.
It's good to be back on the show, correct as always.
Well, G-Man, you know this is tryouts, man. It's like training camp. These guys, they're afraid. Are you here to take someone's job or what?
Maybe because the fans been writing in. Tony didn't want to tell you, but they've been writing in talking about they want G-Love on the set.
They didn't say that.
G-Love.
G-Love, I like that. G-Love. Let me ask you something about the receivers. James Thrash, thumb hurt. How will this affect the team today when they play?
Well, today, hopefully it'll be a change. It's the second round of playoffs. You know, one more round, you're into the championship round. You got to put that behind you. You shoot the thumb up and you go out and play.
But it's going to have some kind of cast on it. Can you catch with that? Explain that to me. How can you catch?
If it's a soft cast, you got to body catch more, meaning like you go catch more with hand to arm, arm to chest. Kind of what I did my whole career. I didn't use my hands that often, so. But you can catch with.
That's refreshing to know because that kind of explains something.
Can we ask about Taylor Jacobs?
Sure. He has a great number.
Right, because I know he does. But you talked
right.
about him, and I talked about him at the beginning of the year. We thought he was going to have a very good year. Is it that he can't get off the line? What's going on with him?
You know, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I don't know if they're just not looking at him because of past instances where maybe he wasn't open. So a quarterback has a tendency to just start going to the guy who he's confident he can get the ball to no matter what. I'm confident. So you see him staring down Cooley, and you see him staring down Santana. So it could be the guys are getting open now, but he just didn't have the confidence in them that they're going to make the play.
Speaking of confidence, Clinton Porter's too bad shoulders, still running the ball, but really picking up the blitz very well.
Yeah, Lon and I were in the locker room, and he talked about the shoulder.
Oh, y'all went to the game?
We went to the game. Thank you,
Gary, we didn't go to the game. I mean, they went to the game.
Because we've got the inside
You would be amazed what you will learn in that press conference, a lot of what's not shown. But Portis talked about the shoulders. He says he's going to play. But he talked also about 8 and 9 men in the box and how basically they had shut the run down. I just want want to know from you guys, why cannot Mark Brunell get the ball downfield? It seems to me that stinger he got in his shoulder a couple of weeks ago is still bothering him.
I don't think it's the stinger, it's the plant leg. When he gets back there, and he's a lefty too, he got to plant and throw that ball. He cannot plant on that leg right now.
It could be a stint of confidence too.
Exactly, right, and he's been hit.
So
but he scrambled well.
Yeah, he scrambled, but at the same time, you're standing back there, you get hit, you already have an injury. So he hasn't played well the last couple of games, but he's the reason they were where they are now.
Well, I hope he does step up.
Let me ask you this. Offensive line, Ray Brown, to me, has done a tremendous job.
Oh, Tony, he did. I mean, the offensive line overall has done a great job. They only gave up 2 sacks against the #1 defense, and I think that they're the reason why Clinton Portis is running well. And Mark Brunell, you know, I think that, like Gary said, that I think he will step it up and he will get better, but I think that veteran leadership says a lot about this team.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. 30 tackles between 3 linebackers. We have not seen that in a long time, and 2 or 3 turnovers.
You know, I think it helped when you wrote a check for $1.5 million more a year to Greg Williams, and you got him a guarantee to come back next year. That put.
Make sure you clarify that. The fans may think you're talking about me. I don't even know what $1 million looks like.
That really, I think that really put a great infusion into this team. I mean, those defensive players were fired up, and I tell you, Joe, that $1.5 million was made back by the owner an hour after he signed that deal.
Well, that made him know that he will be here next year. Yeah. The unit will be together, and they've just played great. And the defensive line have really come on, Gary.
I mean, the defense is strong. I like the defensive backfield. I like how they stepped up to the challenge when everybody looked like they were emancipated, just totally gone. The guys who came in off the bench did a great job.
But the defensive line, Tony, we've been like talking about that all year.
You guys have. I kept telling you guys not to blame everything on the defensive line.
But the defensive line was not doing their part initially in the beginning, but they've gotten so much better because they weren't getting the sacks as far as the pressure. They're knocking down balls. They're getting interceptions. The defensive line is getting interceptions. And as far as the sack total, but Philip Daniels has really stepped up as far as Cornelius Griffith, Joe Salavea in there. All of those guys set the tone for the linebackers and the secondary.
You got a challenge. Let's ask you about this defensive end who's out. Now you got a situation. Do you start Demetric Evans?
Ronaldo Wynn, and you start
Nick
him.
Clemens, maybe?
Evans is a very good player. Okay. He's already started. Prior to this, a defensive tackle did well. He has 4 sacks for the year, so therefore he's a pretty good pass rusher anyway, and the defensive end is a natural position. We got a couple of seconds left, and that's all we need to talk about special teams. They got to get better. We can't stand 14-yard punts when you have to control the field as well as the clock.
Yeah, and so that may win the game right there, because you think about the first Seattle game, their punter, their kicker missed the field goal, hit the upright. The Redskins win in overtime because of a kick. So the special teams must step it up. Their coverage is great, but is the kicker and the punter must step it up.
Wait a minute. I don't see anything wrong with the kicker. Maybe his balls are not getting to the end zone. At the same time, he's hitting the field goals when they need it.
I thought Paul did a little better. He had 1 to the 14 and 15, but after that, he was down to the 2 and the 5.
But they stepped away from the 51-yard field goal because he barely got the 47-1 over.
He is definitely, Tony said last week, he's not 100% on it.
No, he's not 100%.
I think he's about 10, especially when he's kicking off. I think he's saving everything for field goals, actually when they need it. I mean, they may look into getting the guy to kick off.
Right, and his accuracy on the field goal is more important to this team than kicking it down to the 1.
But we need 51.
Donna needs more than 51 in picks. We'll be back in a minute.
Toyota Tacoma is far and away one of the best compact trucks ever offered to the American public. In fact, the Pre-Runner has the best resale value of any pickup, and some Tacomas are among the highest EPA estimates in their class. All Tacomas have a spacious interior and a composite bed that won't rust, and 4x4 V6 models have a towing capacity up to 6,500 pounds. Toyota, moving forward.
A plane with a long history? Not a good thing.
The Defensive Player of the Week has been made possible by Toyota. Get the feeling. Toyota.
I mean, if you look at that, 10 tackles, fumble recovery, forced fumble. I mean, interception.
Only one thing left was one sack, and then he would have done everything conceivable a defensive player could do.
And he wasn't alone. LeVar Arrington, as we said, he really played. The whole defense, I mean, they're really at the right time. And we all know that you don't wear these by playing offense. Oh, I'm sorry, Gary. I didn't mean anything by that. But, I mean, you take a look at it.
Well, you were talking about defense, and we should talk about the skinny this week, how the Seahawks can beat you. This is a little bit better team offensively than Tampa Bay. Obviously, they have Sean Alexander, 1,880 yards, 27 touchdowns, albeit most of those, or I said 60% of those, were against three-dog teams.
Yeah, but 1,880 is still big, and 27 touchdowns.
And, of course, Matt Hasselback's thrown 24 touchdowns. Our own quarterback's thrown 23. I don't think that's any great shapes. Bobby Ingram.
Now, Matt said that the way the team goes depends on him.
Yep.
Now, I don't know what he meant by that.
67 receptions, 778 yards, only 3 touchdowns for Ingram. But Juravicius, this is an interesting story. The tight end, Jeremy Stevens, and Joe Juravicius came in and played at the end of the last game when we played them. And believe it or not, when Darrell Jackson was out and Ingram were out, Juravicius stepped up. He's now their second leading receiver. And I tell you, Jeremy Stevens has become quite a tight end, Tony.
So today, what you're saying is Washington must hit on all facets. They got to play well offensively and defensively. And special teams must produce.
Absolutely.
But this Seahawks team, they got 13 wins. And Gary, you got something to say. You can't wear one of those without playing defense, right?
What's that?
Oh, what is that? It is. Now that is humongous there.
That's why I get to come back to the show.
Is that bigger than yours, Tony?
Yes, it is.
It's bigger?
And I tell you what,
it's a pinky ring.
Oh, that's a pinky ring.
Take a look at that. But for those guys to reach that accomplishment today, later on, they must win today.
They've got to, and Coach Gibbs said that the key to this game is that they have to control the ball offensively and not let the Seahawks get the ball, because the Seahawks, Hasselback goes to all the receivers. You can't just hit one. But the beauty about it is Santana Moss, they play single coverage, and he should be one-on-one, and that should open up that passing game. But Tony Cooley, who has been missing lately for the last 3 games, he's got to get back into the mix of the offense. And as far as he had 2 catches, Mike Sellers and Robert Rule.
There's some frustration going on there.
But I think it comes in. While I'm talking, if you guys want to get a shot of G-Man's ring, I tell you, it's something to behold. But while I'm talking, one thing you guys keep talking about offense and defense and everything, but you don't win those without having a complete team. Yep. And the defense must step up. You got Sean Alexander. This is the MVP of the league. 1,800 yards and 27 touchdowns. You're talking about Hasselback. No, you have to stop him first and then pressure Hasselback.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, Tony, I don't think the Seahawks are as good as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, here's how you can beat this defense. Let's talk about this. The Seahawks are ranked 5th against the run. Number 5 against the run. Yes, they have Fisher, Darby, Tubbs, and Wistrom. That's good. 21 sacks among them. And they have Leroy Hill, who has 7.5 sacks.
Darby was here. They wouldn't
right outside linebacker. But all they've got is Michael Boulware in the secondary. They are 28th in the league against the pass.
Now, the last time we went against, if I remember, we went against Tampa Bay. And what were they at that time?
Exactly.
The 28th offense or something. And they stood in there. You throw all that out the window now.
That's a play.
I think you can beat them like a drum in the secondary.
You do?
I do.
But Tony, then you got, like you said, Hasselback, a veteran quarterback, unlike Sims. Then you've got Alexander, which I think the Redskins defense will be able to stop him.
You got Phoenix, you got the Rams, you got that sorry division.
And San Francisco, 49ers.
Somewhat similar to the Chicago division.
6 of their 14 wins, Tony.
The playoffs.
I ain't worried about Seattle. I ain't worried about Chicago. I'm worried about Charlotte.
Carolina is tough. But we talked about this game today. So you feel like if they go out and control the ball the way they should control, defense put pressure on Hasselback.
Offense is different.
And long as the special team just maintain, they should win this game.
Spank.
I think it's a big win, Tony. I really do. I think, and you know what? I think your guy Taylor Jacobs steps up and catches at least one.
I think somebody else has to come in so you can take a little bit of the pressure, because if I'm the Seahawks, I'm gonna double cover.
I think Taylor Jacobs will be running free all day. You're right.
But see, you guys are talking about throwing the ball. I want to see him run the ball because you're controlling the clock.
Exactly.
And you got a plethora of running backs that can do it.
Both. I want to be able, so if you can do both, then you do. That's Joe Gibbs' offense, when you're able to do both, so you don't know what I'm going to do next. That's the key. Not knowing what am I going to run the ball? Am I going to throw the ball? Am I going to set up my play action? Because that's when your boy Santana really breaks through. It's off of play action.
Well, you don't know what we will do next, but one thing you do know, Gary and I will be doing football. They will be doing marbles and tiddlywinks. We'll be back in a moment.
I'll do the
Salmon spend most of their adult lives in the ocean. After maturing, they migrate back to spawn in the same rivers and streams where they were born. It is here that many a salmon's life is cut short. However, there is good news. I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, son. Learn anything new at school today?
Actually, I did, Dad. Like, did you know a lot of the diseases that men die from, like cancer and heart disease, are often preventable? I learned that just by going to the doctor once a year. Just might save your life.
Didn't know that.
Dad?
Yes, son.
Have you had a checkup this year?
Make an appointment with your healthcare provider or call the D.C. Department of Health today. Men's Health. It's not just about you. It's about family.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Special Teams Player of the Week has been made possible by Geico Direct. Call 1-800-DIRECT-1 for the affordable alternative.
Pearson Prelude played well not only on special teams but also as a defensive back. Let's get around the league now. You guys, the whole time we're doing this segment, Gary and I keep our hands on our knees, so anytime you want to scan championship rings, we'll be there.
Kiss the ring.
You guys, Mike, talk about this. His bigger than yours. Oh yeah, it's bigger than mine, but I got one.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, hello. Let's talk about a game. Who else got one? New England has quite a few going to Denver.
Yes, they do.
I tell you right now, I played in New England for 8 years. They will lose that game.
New England at Denver. You would think so. Denver seems to be a complete team. When they picked up Champ Bailey, all of a sudden they have a defense. But gosh, Tony, you got to take a look at Tom Brady having a great year. And you've got Jake the Snake. And if you can put 8 or 9 guys in the box and stop Denver's run and frustrate Jake the Snake, you can win that ball.
If they didn't have Jake the Snake, they'd probably be undefeated.
And New England
they'd find out how to win without him.
New England is healthy. They're clicking right now, so it won't matter, Tony. Veteran experience will get that win for them.
They struggled against Jacksonville.
What do you think?
Montana S. So I'm a Brady fan too. He's the only quarterback that really kind of
Okay, I'm the only one, but all I want to say is who won.
Excuse me, your mom told you to pick New England.
That's right. She got me right. Thank you, Mother. The next one we got to take a look at is a toss-up game, Pittsburgh at Indy. I think Indy will win that, but the bus is no longer a bus. He's a 16-wheeler now, and once he get to rolling, it's downhill.
Absolutely. Well, except I think if you force Roethlisberger into throwing the ball, he's proven only as a second-year quarterback that he can't quite bring you from behind. And I
don't know.
I think Indy will jump up on top.
I was very impressed with him last game. What do you think, Gary? He played well.
He did. He played really well, but I'm not going to go against Manning.
But you know,
but if you pressure Manning, because that's what they did the other night when they got Carson Palmer hurt. They came in Pittsburgh and they started to pressure through the whole game.
That's the scary part, Tony. Pittsburgh's defense is playing so much better right now, and San Diego exposed Indy as far as if you put the pressure on him, he may crack. But I still going with Indy's too. But I think that
Cincinnati don't have the receivers that Indy has.
Yeah, another weak division when we're talking about Carolina Carolina going to Chicago. I played for Chicago. They'll lose too. Because Carolina has a very good defensive line. Their offense is scary. They are a team that I tell you what, Washington get past Seattle, that's probably who they will meet.
Well, I hope they do play Chicago. I hope they play Chicago because Charlotte scares me a little bit. Only thing I say about Chicago, you know how it is. You got to go up and play in that weather, though. Even in Charlotte, I mean, even though they played in New York, Chicago's a whole nother thing.
And I know those guys are hoping right now. I've played in some games. I'll never forget a game that we played in Minnesota. It was the wind chill was 30 below zero.
You couldn't even feel yourself.
And they didn't allow us to wear gloves.
It's going to be like 20 Chicago fans don't have anything on.
Exactly.
You're going to be like, what is wrong with these people?
Remember the one a few years ago that jumped out the stand and caught Chicago is crazy. But I tell you what, they play in a league where they played the Vikings twice, Green Bay twice, Detroit twice.
Well, they think they've got Rex Grossman starting at the quarterback, so they've had a little more. They've had a little more offense since he's been back in the backfield. But Chicago's defense is just as good as Carolina's, if not better.
No, I don't. Last but not least, that defensive line maybe. Last but not least, New England at Seattle. Washington at Seattle.
I will tell you one thing. This is probably a well-known secret, but Seattle does not handle scrambling quarterbacks well. And last weekend, one of the things Don and I asked Mark Brunell was, we saw a little scramble out of you, and he looks pretty good. Are we going to see more of that? He says, yeah, I want to put a few more plays in. So I think you're going to see Mark Brunell scramble at least 4 times for significant gains because Seattle cannot handle the scrambling quarterback.
I don't know if you will see that, Gary, and you know better than I, because at one time when you went in there and Rip was hurt a little bit, seemed like Gibbs did not allow him to get out of that pocket much, and he max protected him.
Gibbs' offense is meant for a pocket quarterback.
Exactly.
That's what it's set up for. It's like really set up for a scramble. If you're a scrambler, that's just a little extra for the offense. But I think Washington should go away and just spank Seattle. I mean, quite honestly, I just really do.
But if the Redskins play like they did against Dallas and the Giants, it will be no question they will win. They just got to play up to that part.
Always looking for a sure thing. Sure thing we got up here, the plus is next. No question.
Playing DC Lottery Keno just got even more rewarding with new Keno Spin. For just $1 more, Keno Spin could multiply your winnings instantly. Just fill out your Keno card and add a $1 Keno Spin play. If the wheel lands on a number, your winnings multiply by that amount. 3, 5, even 10 times your winnings, up to $1 million. So play DC Lottery's new Keno Spin and see if you get lucky.
Well, you're going to be announcing the winners of the Minority Scholarship Contest next week.
Yeah, we have 10 great winners. We had a great amount of individuals that really wrote nice essays.
Okay. January 21st will be our last show. However, there may be some shows in the off-season.
Yeah, Mike is going to pay for a few off-season shows, so watch the website, and we'll let you know when they're airing.
And then we'll have a Super Bowl appearance at Kirkpatrick's and maybe 1 or 2 others after that.
Yeah, Tino's will be there also, and we'll also be at Crystal City Sports Pub. Just watch the show next week. Maybe we'll have some dates.
And speaking of restaurants, Hard Times Cafe in Arlington, Virginia provided food each and every week, and we have loved each and every bit of it.
Yeah, it was very good, and we thank you very much.
And Gold's Fitness Tip, that's gotten us in shape. Why don't we take another look and see how you can shape up in the new year?
Got me in shape. I don't know about Mike.
Hi, I'm Fairfax Hackley with the Gold's Gym Fitness Tip of the Week again. We're here again with Tracy, and we're going to go Back to the Future 2 with a lat row. Tracy picks up the dumbbell in her hand, and she's going to hold on to the Swiss ball at the same time. She's going to lift the weight and squeeze. She can also rotate her hands and also bring this up, and this adds a lot of difficulty to it. But to make it even special, and here's the tip of this week, she takes her hand off the ball, puts her hand behind her back, and this really makes her stabilize and adds additional definition and power to her back. So if you want something new, include this in your routine. I'm Fairfax Hackley with this week's edition of the Gold's Gym Fitness Tip of the Week.
So, we need broadband. Did we go for Comcast?
I'm thinking Verizon Business DSL.
I've heard Comcast is fast.
So is Verizon.
Let's talk price.
Price? Have you looked at the price of Comcast? Verizon's a better deal.
Ooh, Verizon Business DSL, the best value in broadband. Call 1-866-YES-to-DSL to sign up now.
So now I'm thinking Verizon.
I think my name should be first on the door.
The Tony McGee Pro Football Plus Stat of the Week is made possible by BB&T. You can tell we want your business.
Now for the Warpath Web question of the week. Gary, do you think LeVar Arrington will be back next year after the way he's played recently?
I think it depends on the total outcome of the season. If they play good today, go to the next game, I think, yes, if he's playing on point. But you got to be on point.
And you're right, and that is my tip, and I'm going right to that right away before we go to anyway. This is it, and you said it, the game today. This is it. They must win this game. Once they win this game, it's open for anything. Speaking of playing well during the season, we have to take a look at the picks, Gary. Gary, I don't know.
You're in last spot.
You should have picked different.
Saying I'm in last spot.
Will you look at that? 60-29. I got the Broncos, Colts, Panthers, Redskins, Mike. And Donna, they're tied, everybody, and Patriots, Colts, Panthers, Redskins, so virtually you end up in the tie. Gary, Patriots, Colts, Bears, you may pick up one,
and you're
Redskins.
last.
I think we've realized what happened. But one thing that I need to ask you guys in about 1 minute, what is the most important thing for this team to do today to win?
Intimidate.
I like that one. Michael.
Everything they've got in the offensive playbook, including scrambling.
Everything. What about just running the ball and don't turn it over?
There's no holding back. Mark Brunell, if they don't have a running game, he's got to scramble. You got to do everything on offense you can to hold the ball.
Donna?
All three phases must show up, control, and the defense just explode.
Gary must have told her that because she hit everything right. All three phases show up and explode. We'll be back next week anyway, and let's hope that the Washington Redskins win this game.